Hello, everybody. I am Burlington Mayor Marianne Mead Ward, and welcome to another issue of Burlington Matters. I am so thrilled with the panel that we have today. We have some of our young students here from the city of Burlington with us to talk about sports and a return to safe sports, something that I know is on the minds of so many people in our community, especially when so much is closed right now during the pandemic. So I'm really so excited to have you on my show and to have you talk to our community about what you're working on and what they can expect, and of course support your efforts. So without further ado, I will make the introductions. I have Will Kiproff, who's the co-chair of Safe Sports at the Halton District School Board, and Luka Simeunovic, who is the other co-chair of Safe Sports at the Halton District School Board. And you have an Instagram page and quite a following, and have done a lot of promotion of what you're about. So I'm going to come to you first, Luka. Talk to me a little bit about your background and where you go to school and what prompted you to start this, and then I'll come to you, Will. Go ahead, Luka.
Perfect. Well, first off, thank you so much for having us. It's always a pleasure to come and talk to you about this issue that we care a lot about. So I go to Garth Webb Secondary School. That's in Oakville. I'm a grade 12 student there. And the way I got involved was through the Student Senate, which represents all the students in Halton. We'll talk a bit more about that later. But Will and I are both in that. And Will, he had originally pushed very, very hard to get sports back. He put out the initial petition. And so he pushed hard for a sports working group. And then I joined in, and I was also very passionate. And that's really how it got started. And we have a great group of students working with us. Special shout out to Janelle, Asadel, Kiara, and Kiki. They're our team. So we're working with a lot of great students, and that's a bit about how we got started.
That's awesome. Will, tell us about your school and what got you involved in this.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us. It's always great to be here. I'm a grade 12 student at Nelson High School in Burlington. Obviously a big sports school. We've got a great football team and volleyball team, things like that. So like Luka said, even before I was a member of the sports working group we're on right now, I put out a little petition, trying to lobby to bring back sports and trying to just survey students around Halton and, mainly Burlington and Oakville to see like how they felt and, how sports was affecting them and things like that. And then I was approached to co-chair with Luka, and we've been hitting the ground running ever since.
So let's talk a little bit about the importance of sports. And so, Will, is it safe to assume you're on the football team at Nelson? Okay. Yes?
Technically, yeah.
Technically? What does technically mean?
I wasn't allowed to play in grade 11 because of officer rules, and then COVID took away my grade 12 year. So I actually haven't been allowed to play a snap for Nelson yet, but I am a part of the team, yeah. And I'm returning next year, so I'll be on the football team officially next year.
And your position is?
I'm an outside linebacker.
Outside linebacker. Okay. And then I'm going to come back to you, Will, to talk about the importance of sports. But Luka, what sports do you like? What are you involved in?
So I'm not as much into sports as Will. I'm more just into general athletics, but I recognize the importance that sports have. A lot of my friends play sports. I like playing them recreationally. Basketball is one that I like to play recreationally with some of my friends. So that's really what I'm into. But for me, it's a lot also about the mental health that sports help with, which I'm sure we'll talk a bit about later.
Absolutely. I want to go right there to talk about the importance of sports. So you've actually touched on team sports as well as more individualized recreational sports. So Will, since you're involved more in the team sports, talk to us about how important that is for you and what you get out of it, in addition to the physical aspects. I'm sure those are important. And that was one of the first things to go because, of course, you're in contact during COVID, and maybe one of the last things to be returned with COVID. So talk to us about the value you place and what you get out of team sports.
Yes, mental health is kind of across all sports and things like that, but there's a special connection people have with their teammates. A lot of people confide in their teammates. Sometimes it's the only people they can talk to, coaches, stuff like that. It's just really special to have a team around you and, kind of people that you're with, and you can't find a relationship with other people your age like that outside of team sports. So I think it's really affecting athletes in a special way, especially taking away the team sports.
It's like having a family that's
Yeah.
a second family that's taken away. I remember feeling that. I didn't do team sports, but I did musicals and drama in high school. And we were like a family for the run of the show, right? You
Yeah.
got to know everyone, both the performers, the set folks, your musicians, everybody, director, all of the costume people. It was, I remember, closing night was always a tearjerker for us because you do create those bonds. And I've never thought of it that way, how it's more than just the physical energy and obviously learning how to be part of a team and those important principles that you learn as part of being in a team sport. But that family aspect, that friend aspect has to be just devastating right now.
Yeah, family, there's a lot of life lessons as well. It's unmatched.
So talk to us about the recreational aspect, Luka, and how that impacts you. I expect there's some similarities. Anything else you want to add?
We'll basically covered all the bases. People you hang out with. We because high school is supposed to be, the one social sort of like I guess the last really social time to be a kid, because after that you're going to college, then you're getting a job. So high school is the last time where you can do all that fun stuff. And of course there's stuff you can't do. Can't be in crowded classrooms, can't be in crowded cafeteria, which we understand. Like I said, our movement's all about safety, but sports are something we can do. They're often outdoors, low numbers. Some of them can be social distance, track and field, tennis and badminton.
Pickleball for older folks. I've never taken it up, but I used to shoot recreationally some hoops to blow off steam when I was in university. So one person on a court or a person to pass with. So talk to me now about your safe sports movement, because you've been very clear, and I just want to thank you so much for how responsible you are approaching this and making sure that you're not just saying everything should be open. You're actually looking at how to do it safely to protect you and everyone else involved. So talk to me about the what you think of as safe sports and the plans that you're putting together. And maybe I'll go to you, Will, first, and then to you, Luka.
Yeah, we've seen the demand for sports to come back and the need for it. I know there's an incident at the skate park. People are trying to get out and play sports. So there's definitely a need for it. And I just think it's something we can't really take away without considering the side effects that it's going to have.
Absolutely. Luka?
Yeah, sports are just proven to help student mental health, anxiety, depression, help students with that. And our plan, we don't want to just start, tomorrow, bring everything back, crowded locker rooms, all that. We want to start off slowly. So maybe low to no contact sports, tennis, badminton, swimming, track and field. Then once we show that those can be safe, we move up to, the basketball, soccer, football. So we want to bring sports back slowly and carefully and safely when the time is deemed right, with all necessary COVID-19 protections. But sooner rather than later.
Well, and Will, you touched on the incident, you called it, at the skate park, which I wrote about yesterday and caused quite a dialogue, shall we say, in the community. And I'm very interested. This is an open forum. We can talk about whatever you would like and whatever is on your mind. And I do want to first say I absolutely understand the frustration of people in the community, of young people, and the need and the benefit of physical exercise and outdoor activity. And at the same time, for now, we're under provincial restrictions. And except for playgrounds, everything else is closed. And I'm interested in your thoughts on that, but just for our viewing audience, the 4 Halton mayors, myself included, and the one from Oakville, Milton, and Halton Hills, as well as the regional chair, made a statement last week saying we stand with the recommendations from the province's own science table, which actually recommended reopening outdoor activities.
Yep.
They didn't specify which ones, and they did say, obviously, there have to be safety parameters, and they were recommending, at least for now, members of your household and masking where social distancing is a challenge. But the Halton mayors endorsed that, and we actually asked the province, look, this is what your science table is saying. Review the list of closures, review and be prepared to reconsider and revise. And let's start that safe return. So I'm really interested to hear your thoughts on any of that, but also where would you start? So you've mentioned some some sports that you can obviously safely distance, which for now doesn't mean team sports necessarily, at least not contact. Football may be out for a bit, but anyways, I'm interested in your thoughts and your reaction to all of that, and where you think we go next as a community on this.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. Obviously, we don't and can't condone everybody's reaction to the skate park. Like it's really immature to be spitting on people, things like that. I'm sure a lot of people know the details about it. It gives us kind of a bad rap as well, because it just attaches the narrative that the people that want sports back, they're willing to do things like this to get them back. We're not about that at all. We don't want to associate with that, but I think it does go to show the demand that people are having to have at least some, exhaust gases into being able to go back to sports, or at least being outside doing something active. So I think that's kind of not a lesson, but it's a good way to show. So I'm trying to say this so that I don't advocate for it at all, but it's a good indicator that people do need things back. I know we've got the fields open. People lobbied for those to come back like instantly after the announcement that they'd be shut down. So I think it just goes to show how much we need something to come back as soon as possible, and nothing, or it shouldn't be completely shut down ever. Like 100%.
Yeah, and you've handled that expertly, by the way.
I was trying to make it as clear as possible.
The diplomacy and the delicacy, and I'll just jump in because I started this all with my post earlier this week. There was an incident. There were people at the skate park, which is closed by provincial order, so people can't be there. And when one of our park ambassadors asked folks to leave, she was sworn at, she was surrounded, and spit on, as you said. And so I wanted to call that out and say that behavior is inappropriate, which you've also said, and I think we all agree. It turned into a debate about whether skate parks should be closed, and I think that's a legitimate debate to have. It's unfortunate that the message of let's not abuse our staff, we're public servants, not punching bags, that kind of got lost. But we can have a debate about outdoor amenities being open. We can have a debate about sports. We should be talking about those things. So, I'm always a silver lining person. At least it got us talking about the need for appropriate and safe outdoor activities. And, what could be more serendipitous than to have you on my show the day after, this all goes down, to talk to you about this, to hear from you about this. And I'm quite willing to have that debate. And as I said, the Halton mayors have said, we're open to reconsideration of these things, but until the province changes the rules, they're closed. And we have an obligation as a city to respect that and reflect that, and to keep everyone safe. So, but I'm glad we're having this conversation. Luka, I want to bring you in as well now, and hear your thoughts about that, and where you would start with the safe return, and some of the plans that you've been working on.
Definitely. Well, I mean, I think wherever you stand this issue, spitting, swearing, coughing on someone just because they're trying to follow the rules, that's just terrible. That's really disappointing. That's as much as I'm going to say about it. It's really terrible to see that a few people, because it's not the majority, it's a few
Absolutely.
people just think they're above the rules, and that's quite terrible. Like you were just talking about the provincial rules, and that the cities have to follow the provincial guidelines. Actually, what Will and I are doing right now, the phase of our plan right now, is reaching out to provincial officials, MPs, some ministers, to look at how can we bring sports back safely from that provincial standpoint. We've also been meeting with some MPs. We actually also contact with Halton Regional Healthcare Unit, and we are setting up a meeting with one of their health experts in the coming weeks to develop a plan backed by science to make sure that we're doing things safely.
That is awesome. And I've, as you know, I've been working with you on putting out a statement which will coincide with the airing of this show around, obviously my support for you to build that plan safely backed by science. And we do believe, I think we've all seen that there is a way to do this well and to gradually have a return to activities, and some of that's happening already, right? You can be out biking and jogging, and with members of your own household, you can certainly do more than that in our city parks. Our parks are open. So there is a lot that, people with some creativity can do right now and be fully on side with the regulations. But we do need to have more outdoor activities. I'm absolutely supportive of that, particularly given the support that the science table has already put forward. So we're going to keep that momentum going. And what I love about this is that it's come from our young people. You're leading the charge and really showing the adults the way that we need to go on this. So kudos to both of you. Now, if there are parents or young people your age watching, how can they support what you're doing or join your movement? If you're ready to get volunteers, what help do you need from those that are watching us?
Definitely, I think the easiest way is to just support us, spread awareness. You can follow us on our Instagram at safe_sports_HDSB. Just follow us there, spread awareness. That's the big one now. We're going to be meeting with a lot of politicians and change makers and lawmakers in the coming weeks. So the more support we get, the better.
That's great. We will make sure that information is out there. So let's pivot a little and talk to school, because talk about schools. I know one of the reasons that sports isn't happening is because schools aren't happening right now. So how's the online learning going for you? Are you looking forward to a return to the classroom as well?
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge for me personally, the online learning. I'm a very social person. I like learning with peers, hanging out with people. So that's definitely been challenging. I understand, they need to keep people safe, of course. It has been challenging, and I am looking forward to the return of in-person classes.
How about you, Will?
Yeah, I'm the same. I kind of need to be around people in order to focus, or else, a lot of people that have been doing school from at home, they just fall asleep during classes, things like that. I think it's a fact. I think as soon as we're able and it's safe to go back, I feel like we shouldn't even hesitate. We should throw people back in school as soon as it's safe, like I said. But I think it's something we should try and prioritize. I know we're getting a lot of vaccines, I've heard through the news. So as soon as those are out and, it's safe to do so, I think we should get back as soon as possible.
Well, and that's a good point, because people your age, unless you're in one of the high risk categories, are not yet eligible.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that's really tough. And do either of you have part-time jobs that you're out and about in the community as well?
Yes, I do have a part-time job at a local grocery store here in Oakville.
How do you feel about going to work every day without being vaccinated?
It definitely, it's mixed. It is a little bit daunting just because of the rising cases and variants. But I'm a young guy. I'm healthy. Young people are proven to transmit the virus less than older folks. Have less serious cases, unless you have a compromised immune system or any factors such as that. So I'm mostly okay with going back to going to work.
I have recently become eligible because they keep lowering the ages. So folks in my age category, but I'm on a waiting list, right? The demand, and thankfully in Halton, the demand for vaccines is very high. So that means that's great. There's a lot of uptake in the community, and we just got an update from our medical officer of health, and also heads of council, mayors across the province were on a call with the premier and several ministers last Friday. And the goal is to ensure that by the end of May, 65 to 70% of the population Ontario-wide has had their first shot. And so there's definitely good news and some hope on the horizon. We're hearing from the federal government about more vaccine shipments. So that can't come soon enough, I know, for people in our community, and especially young people like yourself, who are not even eligible yet. And I certainly hear from your parents. I hear from your parents about the need to get you vaccinated, and especially if you're out working. I heard from a parent the other day whose son also works in grocery and retail. So keeping everybody safe while you have to go to work is really mission critical right now, until we get the supply and get it into the arms of people in our community. So I want to come back to the Student Senate. So talk to us a little bit about what that is. I don't know if that's like the Student Council one back in my day, or if it's a different thing. But talk to us about the Student Senate and their role in safe sports.
Definitely, I'm glad you brought that up because it is a big part of our movement. So the Student Senate represents students from all grades, all across Halton. So high schools send representatives, elementary schools send representatives, and this is how students, tell the Board of Education, provincial government, all the lawmakers, how they can help us. So Will and I are both in the Student Senate, and we've seen a lot of support there. We have a group of very passionate students working with us. And one very interesting thing that recently happened was that the Student Senate passed a motion proposed by Will and I that declared sports essential and made it a priority goal to bring them back safely. And as well as that, it gave Will and I to speak authority to speak on behalf of all students in Halton on all sports-related matters. So that's a very big thing.
Wow. So you guys are like the co-mayors of the Halton District School Board. Awesome. Well, if you ever want to run for elected office in real life, you let me know. I'd be happy to help you. So the Student Senate, so do you get elected? Do people have to vote? How big is the Senate? How does it work?
So it's different for every school. My school, Garth Webb, the principal just picks the 3 representatives. I know some schools have elections. 2 elected positions are actually the 2 student trustees who are elected to represent all of the HDSB students on the HDSB board. So that is one position that is elected, but it's different for every school how they're chosen.
What about it, Nelson? Will?
Yeah, I honestly heard about it on the announcements, and it seemed like a good thing to have on like a university application. So I just went in and interviewed, and you just interview from the principal, and then I got in, and I was in the Senate, and then you kind of get in at the base layer. And some of us have split up into groups, like we're in the sports group, and there's a mental health group, and things like that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And so then I imagine at some point the Senate convenes every so often. You all come together, and that's when you brought your motion forward.
Mm-hmm, yeah. So the Senate has monthly meetings. We actually have one in about 2 hours. So we'll be going to that.
Excellent. Well, you can update them on our conversation.
We will.
Let them know you have my full support. Well, and if you you can certainly share our draft statement if you hadn't already been planning to do that in support of what you're working on.
Perfect.
So you get together monthly, you can bring forward things, and then there's I imagine some sort of a vote, and they elect you to then be able to speak on behalf of all the students.
Yeah, we proposed a motion to give us authority to speak on behalf of all students in the HDSB, and it was passed unanimously. That just shows how much support we have from all students. Because remember, again, this organization represents students all across the Halton District School Board, so it's great to see that amount of support.
And you said all levels, so it's elementary as well as secondary?
Mm-hmm. So the senators are only from grades 7 to 12, but they represent all students in Halton.
That is absolutely incredible. Well, you should be so proud of yourself for being able to bring that forward. And it's I think it's a testament to, people don't have to look hard if they want to serve their community and step up and do some good and have some influence. And you've discovered that, that you put yourself forward to represent your school, and then have found this whole calling in terms of, in a pandemic of all things, to move this issue forward. So where have you talked to the school board trustees? Have you met with them yet, formally or officially, or is there anything happening at the board level?
Yeah, so we did meet quite early on with some trustees and superintendents, and it was pretty much the same thing, that they can't do anything until public health and the province makes a decision. So that's when we changed our focus to meeting with provincial politicians. We're going to start reaching out to some cabinet ministers, Minister of Sport, Minister of Education, just try to tell them that they should be making this a priority and be consulting students about the cancellation of sports.
Absolutely. And what's been the feedback so far from your discussions?
So we've met with a few politicians now, PP Crawford of Oakville. We just met with Adam Van Couverden, who is the MP for Milton, former Olympian, and Mayor of Oakville and of course yourself. And we've seen support from everyone. Everyone's on board. Everyone wants to bring sports back safely, which is a great thing to see.
That's awesome. Well, I couldn't be prouder of you. I'm so pleased to have you on the show and to be able to promote this. In our last, we've got about 2 minutes left. So tell me what maybe I'll come to you first, Will, what you're most looking forward to after the pandemic is over.
I think I speak for pretty much all of Ontario here when I say I'm excited to go golfing, hopefully very, very soon.
Are you kidding, or is that true?
Oh no, I'm very excited to go golfing.
Really? Oh,
I love golfing. I have a membership at Oakville and I'm on the waiting list for Burlington. And the lockdown came the day that they opened. So that was a big heartbreaker for a lot of people around the province.
Well, you know what? I thought you were teasing there, but I am so
No.
glad you said that, because there is a misperception out there about golf, that it is the wealthy person, old person's sport. And I've learned, because we obviously run the Tyendega Municipal Golf Course, so I know more about golf than I ever thought I would know. Because I only have recently I've played exactly 2 rounds pre-pandemic. Very recently as an adult, and learned that this is a great sport. We had a huge spike in youth and student memberships last summer, because that was one of the few things that people could safely do outside. And so it's great to see that. And I hope that dispels some of the myths out there about golf, that it is, if we can bring that back, that will help an awful lot of our youth and allow people to be outside. And it's not the rich person sport anymore. It's a whole lot cheaper than hockey and probably football too.
Yeah.
I would guess. Awesome. Luka, what about you? What are you most looking forward to post-pandemic?
Probably 2 things. Number one, just sitting on the bleachers, cheering on my sports team, Garth Webb Chargers. I love to do it. And then the second one's probably doing some Crownland camping. I know they shut down Crownland camping. It is what it is. But those are 2 things I'm most looking forward to.
Awesome. Well, I grew up in provincial parks and national parks in the U.S. I actually lived on in a national park, Yellowstone. My dad was a national forest ranger. So I absolutely love camping too. What's your favorite Crown land to camp on?
Oh, anywhere up in Temagami. I was up, I'm going up to Wolf Lake this summer. I'm very excited. Love that whole region.
Oh, that is awesome. Well, we are just about out of time. I want to thank you so much, Luka and Will, for being the champions for young people across our whole Halton region and a safe return to sports. And thank you so much for your approach and for leading the way and for looking out for mental health and physical health. And I look forward to when I can actually meet you in person, face to face, once the pandemic is done. So again, thank you. Thanks to all of our folks out there for tuning in. This is Mayor Mary Ann Mead Ward signing off another edition of Burlington Matters. Thanks for watching.